all beef patty, special sauce, butter, cheese, pickles, onions on a special cheese.
Now, I said Kentucky Fried Chicken. There's only one way to cook it, and that is Kentucky Fried Chicken.
I sit alone in my four-cornered room staring at candles. Oh, that shit is on? Let me drop some shit like this here. Real.
Hello, everyone. This is the first episode of the Bottom of the Pit podcast, where we look to the moon and swap our palettes. Today, I have a very special guest for the first episode. He is the co-founder of Food Chain, which is the group that we are.
Yeah.
Please introduce yourself.
I'm the Carvin Chicken, also real name Ben, but yeah, I'm glad to be part of this podcast. But good name, right? I like the name.
Well, thank you. Mm-hmm. And I'm Whoopi Goldberg, and we will be going over numerous topics today. We will be starting with the history of Food Chain. Yeah. Since this is the first episode of this series, I would like to, I guess, smooth a few things out. There's a lot of questions that people do ask, and I don't really have the time to go through all the specifics. Yeah. So I figured we could kind of go through that here. Yeah. But while we're here, we'll be going over things like the comic to game transition. Yeah. Because this will be generally a fighting game podcast.
Obviously with the name.
Yeah. Anyone that knows the references, good on you. Mm-hmm. I'm a fighting gamer. Yeah. It's like my passion, everything I do, kind of like is centered around it.
Yeah, you got me into fighting games many years ago. I mean, I'm not going to lie that, but yeah, I'm not just saying that because I'm on your podcast. This is true.
Well, that's like the greatest accomplishment of any like fighting gamer. It's like you didn't used to play fighting games, but now you do. That's a win. Yeah. But we'll also be touching on mains and how they're chosen. Yeah. And also going to mediums that usually aren't even looked at for fighting game transitions. Yeah. Sometimes they are for like games. You have like Metro and Dante's Inferno. If you can figure out the transition we're talking about, just stay tuned. We'll get to it.
Yeah, not many companies try to do that venture in combination, but yeah, we'll get to that.
But we will get to that in due time. But for now, we will talk about the history of Food Chain and how it got started.
Ooh, that was a very random occurrence events out of nowhere. You obviously recall the moments, right?
Yeah. I remember it clear as day.
Hey, so the one of the other co-founders, member, the Jamaican Shake, he's going to kick my butt if you heard that. Yeah, he was part of the conception of the group, right. And it's okay. Well, hopefully we don't get sued by sponsors, but whatever. Hey, if they want to sponsor us, hey. But there is different food companies. You can obviously name the combination of the two food chains, right?
Oh, yes. We have me. I'm Whoopi Goldberg, which is the McWhoopi part is combination of like McDonald's and Burger King. With you have the Mc. They have like McChickens, McNuggets and stuff, and Whoopi, which is the Whopper from Burger King, which is my burger of choice.
Mm-hmm. So you just combined them both.
Just combined them both, and we got McWhoopi. And then there's the Goldberg part. Yeah. But that was like, because the whole like inside joke was that we would come up with these funny like food pun names, and then enter a tournament just to make the people have to say it out loud.
Every single name, at least from our three, has a funny reference to it.
Yeah.
And now we'll get to mine. My first job ever was working at Arby's. Crappy paying job, but I learned a lot. I had a lot of good experiences with people and dubbed me into more food. But my name is Carvin Chicken. Now, many years ago, they have changed the sandwich's name to Crispy Chicken, which is boring.
It's Crispy Chicken now?
It's Crispy Chicken.
That's a travesty.
But there was a chicken sandwich called the Carvin Chicken, right? It's easy to say, Carvin, right? But many customers have come in and said, can I get the Carvin Chicken? Can I get the Carvin Chicken? And I laugh in my head. And I went home, I talked to my boys, like the McWhoopi and the Jamaican Shake, and we laughed about it, how confident these people thought it was called the Carvin Chicken. And eventually I just said, you know what? I'm going to call myself the Carvin Chicken. And I don't know, it's just a name that stuck with me.
I mean, it rolls off the tongue pretty good. Carvin Chicken, if it sounds good to the ear.
Yeah. So, you know what? the customers won. They won in my heart at that point. But obviously, do you want to? I guess if you ever get the Jamaican shake, he can explain his.
Yeah. The Jamaican shake. He'll when he gets on here, he can go through that and walk us through that one.
But the origin actually was one day we actually got all three of our products at the same time. We just took multiple spots, and we were at your old mom's house. And then all of a sudden, I don't know, but out of nowhere, we just said food chain.
Yeah. It was like a mantra. We don't do it that much anymore, but we just yell at food chain.
Yeah, so
food chain.
It's just stuck. It's a very simple type of origin.
It was. It doesn't go very deep.
That's how it usually goes with just how we named it. But the conception went with this journey of going out of our way to get these foods, just because it's like, let's just get our funny. Let's just. We make jokes about this. Why not just get it?
Might as well. And then we'll get on camera. We'll play some games. We'll enjoy our namesakes.
There will be, and whenever this pops up, a picture attached to it of the conception of it. I actually have the picture.
You have the picture.
I have the picture. I've saved every single photo since day one. But yeah.
Well, I'll be damned.
Just be something to see whenever this gets posted up.
Oh, right. Oh, I didn't know you still had the picture. That's actually exciting because I can't, I kind of have it in my head, but it's obviously it's blurry. But to see it loud and clear, that's something to look forward to. And there was a specific game that was out at the time, and that was our jumping off point when we first did our very first stream, which is not pretty. The sound isn't synced up to the video. The video was like 120p.
Yeah, it was really rough.
Oh man, I think there was all this ambiance in the back. It was so.
And was it Injustice God Among Us?
It was the first Injustice game. Yes.
Yeah, the quality actually was cropped. You couldn't even actually see the health bar.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Meters. You just saw both characters split in half, how small the screen. This was before Twitch was bought by Amazon, so everything was kind of messy.
Jeez, well that was in 2013. That's when that game dropped.
Yeah,
but we had already been playing it for a couple of months before then. We already had our respective mains, and we were just food chain versus the world. We'll pass the controller off and take down people in succession, and I don't want to brag, but we were pretty good at it.
Oh,
I like to think we were pretty good at it.
Wins online. I played that game way too much.
But that was
way too much.
Well, it was almost like a match made in heaven. DC games, and they chose their roster pretty well. They hit all the major archetypes for their first outing. Yeah. It had its rough points though.
A lot
of Batman. Zoning was so oppressive. It was hard to play any of the bigger characters.
Yep.
And the interactables.
Unblockable.
Oh my god, all unblockable, and some did 33%.
Yep. You can change the match in one hit, pretty much.
Pretty much. And some people would fight over positioning, and on paper, I guess that sounds good. They won't just fight for spacing because of their moveset. They'll have to worry about the interactables. But in practice,
if you're a powerhouse, you're better.
You're better, yeah. The gadget character, I like where they were going with it, but it didn't pan out how they were expecting.
Yep.
Now here's the question I want to ask you.
Yeah.
About the first Injustice.
Mm-hmm.
You were excited to use Superman at first.
Yeah.
When we first saw the initial roster, obviously it was Superman, Batman.
Mm-hmm.
They were there. You're excited to use Superman because you're always a Superman dude.
Yeah.
But by the time the game dropped and we were rolling through it, you were a Doomsday main.
Yeah.
Now
big change.
Now what made you go from the zone heavy pretty good Superman to kind of the big beefy Doomsday?
It's all about honestly how I just picked that. Obviously I was more worried about back then about who I made, because I didn't want to use a character that everyone spited and hate. That's how my mindset was then. So I just switched up. I was like, you know what? This character, I've been having fun playing randomly out of nowhere, and I just chose Doomsday just because it's still in the Superman lore. He's just a bulky, buffy character, and he just hits hard. There's no, me, I'm not a very combo-heavy string guy. I'm 4 hits, 20% type of guy. And I just, that's who I mean. And I at least need one type of good projectile move, which his was the meteor strike.
Oh yeah, I mean it's not technically a projectile, but it got around projectiles.
Well, yeah, when you
sure.
use enhance, you can attract.
Attract them.
Yeah.
Okay.
But any type of move that can get me away from someone zoning, that's the type of character I like to use. And he fit that profile really good. He hit strong. He had good mix-up. Yeah, you can probably spam against him, but I try to get away from that round. He just started my love for bulky characters, basically, at least in the NetherRealm spectrum, for that matter.
Okay, and NetherRealm's really good with like making sure their archetypes are pretty varied. Sometimes they have like half grappler. They have like zoner grapplers. Some people they'll get up close and have some grapples, but they can zone you out.
Like Kano.
Like Kano, yeah. He's a very good example of that. But in Injustice, going back to Injustice with Doomsday, he was, out of my experience at least, from what from how I played, and I put in a lot of hours into that game as well. Yeah. Doomsday was the only character I had to like lab because he had some weird properties to him, like the move I call a joke attack. Because like all my life I was like, what if an attack was both an overhead and a low at the same time? And it was, but and at the time when you face him for the first time, you're like, how do I block this move? I stand up, it hits my legs. I go down, it hits my head.
You thought for the longest time it was unblockable.
I thought it was like an unblockable. I'm like, wow, that's a fast ass unblockable. But I took him into the lab. I was like, okay, I gotta take this man into training mode. I gotta see what he's about. And there is like a brief point in between the overhead strike and the low strike where you have to block high and then block low. Yeah. It's pretty fast, but he's got a lot of wind up on him. And I learned, how to deal with that. And once you learn how to deal with that, you have to be a lot smarter with it because he's got a lot of recovery on it.
Yeah, and also he had his character trait, which gave him that kryptonite shell,
the kryptonite armor,
which makes his which made him harder to stun hit.
Yeah, he didn't take as much hit stun.
No, but there was ways around it. What you did, where you just hit low, square.
Oh yeah, because did he lose his ability to block during it?
Yeah.
Did he? Okay,
yeah.
He would just go into that brief hit stun. So there was ways around it, and you have characters like Green Lantern with the minigun.
Mm-hmm.
That would just it'll just go and it'll just keep him stunned so long his trait just kind of wears out. But I always thought that was interesting. It's like why go from Superman to like pretty much like caveman Superman?
Yeah, basically.
Which is like it's like dinosaur Superman.
All the power and just no lasers, basically.
Yeah, but he also had the up down. Yeah. The up down move where you attract that was also unblockable, but you could just backdash at the right time and get a full punish because he had like a million frames of recovery on that one.
People eventually started to figure out how to deal with that.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
And we went to that Too Many Games tournament, and I fought a Doomsday in my run, like in my we are on the same bracket, but I ended up fighting a Doomsday who I had to he did that move a lot, the up down move, and I really had to get the back dashes on point into like the back X off the wall bounce.
But comment on that Too Many Games. We mainly play on Sony side of consoles. The Too Many Games had an Xbox 360 version. Now, if you know the Xbox 360 is the worst place to play fighting games. It does not have a D-pad. It's one button.
That controller is pretty bad.
And the version of the game we were playing with was a pre-patched version where a lot of the characters of Superman and Deathstroke were OP.
Right, and there have been a couple of patches since that.
Yeah.
So the fact that it was pre-patch was pretty detrimental because there were some big balance changes before that tournament, and they just didn't have any of those fixes.
Superman's heavy laser, like tremendously, and then some of the Deathstroke's like moves slow down pretty much as well.
And the person that ended up winning that tournament, he took full advantage of this pre-patchness with the Superman's oppressive lasers, famously oppressive lasers.
But the highlight of that show was the Jamaican shake.
He was,
but he will tell it himself one day.
When he gets on the podcast, that's a story for him to tell.
Yeah.
Now this is where I really wanted to go with this Injustice conversation.
Yeah.
Now it's pretty like this isn't kind of an old not a dilemma but like an old factor with like fighting games in relation to comics.
Yeah.
Where long ago, like we're talking 10, 15, might be even pushing 20 years, or maybe it is 20 years. I don't know. Where Capcom has always teamed up with Marvel for their games.
Yeah.
So Marvel vs. Capcom, X-Men versus Street Fighter or just X-Men Children of the Atom developed by Capcom. They've done a fantastic job. It's one of the most like influential and like famous fighting game franchises. It's the Versus series. Mm-hmm. You know, it started with the Marvel Versus series. Yeah. And you know, recently with Injustice in 2013, or I guess even before that with MK versus DC. Yeah. Where DC kind of went into the Nether Realm.
Pretty much.
And they are, you know, they're handled by them. Do you think, like, the more grounded nature of NetherRealm Studios compared to Capcom's really bombastic way they handle their characters, do you think that matches? Do you think that could be, like, they're at home there?
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. Both companies, when they do what they do, it's perfect symmetry. Capcom always was flashy. They were always flashy with their games, whether it was Mega Man, Street Fighter, any other, like even Striker. Like all those old Capcom games that they had, they were flashy. Marvel Comics, all the heroes are all flashy. They're all
they're all brightly colored too.
Yeah, bright and colored, happy go-getters, and you know, like even their villains are bright, shiny too. Like it was always like a cool, funny contrast, and to have those worlds blend together and fight together felt natural. They felt real. They felt like, oh yeah, I can believe these two worlds can coexist to each other. Nothing seems out of the way. Plus, the way they developed the game, they made it, you know, seem believable. Obviously, they use sprites,
right?
But even when you have a picture side by side, it seemed, at least to me, believable to an extent. Yes, there are some characters in Capcom's history pool that kind of don't blend well with comic book characters, but with the mainstay characters, they do. Now, with NetherRealm and DC, I think it worked well because of what was going on with DC during that time. Even with their movie industry, everything was going dark. More dark and gritty.
Yeah, it was kind of perfect timing.
Yeah, even in storylines in comic books, they were going to that route. So to have, obviously, they were midway at the time, right?
For MK vs. DC, they were midway.
So at the time when they were doing that, obviously MK games are always just dark. Yeah, they had their goofy characters,
right,
they were violent.
Exactly.
So you blend those two worlds together, obviously you have to tone down the violence, but even still, the game was still violent into how far violent the DC can get, but it felt believable. You had the Joker, like he possibly fits really freaking good there. Like almost all the DC villains, I can totally see in the MK universe, like 100%. Like they can live in that universe. Even heroes like Batman, a lot of the darker heroes, like vigilante types, like anti-heroes, can fit perfect. Now the hard thing was making Superman believable to that universe. It actually works, just for the simple fact that, like I said before, midway when they were doing their Mortal Kombat series, they're goofy in ways.
Yeah.
They have really goofy looking characters, but yet they make it work and they make it seem gritty and real. And Superman worked in there. Even Shazam. You know why? Raiden. You have a character called Raiden who looks goofy as hell with this straw hat, bright white shirt with lightning.
They make it work though.
They made it work, and they made it. And guess what? Everybody clamors every year. When is MK versus DC 2 coming out? Because they keep on adding Scorpion or either Sub-Zero into their Injustice games.
And with the rumors of Joker and MK11,
yes,
you know, there's always that DNA. The DNA is pretty much, you know, they're meshed together at this point.
I feel like NetherRealm right now, they're really good at combining those two universes. And I'm getting annoyed that Capcom and Marvel can't work now. It's like a big flip-flop. Like now, DC's having the reign in their fighting games, but now Marvel is just slumping down. And obviously it has to do with the damn movie rights. The fact that the different industries affected another industry is really disappointing. And I know it's not all Capcom's fault. They can only do what they were allowed to do. And with the X-Men gone, like your first game was Children of the Atom.
Yeah.
And you take away that massive roster that people love, and you get a game called Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. It just seems bare bones and forced of a movie franchise.
Well, and it's when it comes to the X-Men characters in the Marvel vs. series, it's very weird. It's very jarring to see one, it's very jarring to see Wolverine not there because he's always been like the face. It's always been like Wolverine and Ryu. They're always doing the whole handshake thing. That's kind of like how at least in my head, I'm not terribly old, but in my head they're always doing the handshakes. And now there's no Wolverine, there's no Storm, no Magneto, there's no Fantastic Four characters. And by Fantastic Four characters, I mean there's no Doctor Doom.
Pretty much, and he's a very fan favorite in tournament.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, but like you have that massive gap, and what was that? What was that one fighting game? It was Marvel Nemesis.
Yes, Marvel Nemesis.
And I thought that was a good type of like.
They were on to something.
It was a good like big open 3D fighter.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool with its unique own characters, and I thought that Marvel was trying to delve into something darker as DC is doing.
Well, Nemesis was a darker game, The story mode just had like the Nemesis, like that little group. I forget what it might just be like the Nemesis, where they actually in the story they would just systematically kill some of the heroes.
But that never panned off to something ever bigger. And I feel like with the rise of the MCU, we have not got a good fighting game, and you have such a huge fan base that people will go out of their way to buy these games. You can even put this on the Switch, which a lot of young audiences have. They put Mortal Kombat 11 on the Switch. So you put a Marvel fighting game on that it's a proper fighting game, not some cheesy half-ass game. Then you get a bigger audience. You delve back into the fighting game genre in the round. And it's really frustrating that Capcom and Marvel can't seem to figure out what to do. And I understand why Warner Brothers and NetherRealm work better, because NetherRealm is owned by Warner Brothers.
Yeah, so they have access to everything.
They have access to everything, and I wish two companies can communicate better.
That's kind of what it comes down to with the Marvel versus Capcom series. It's a lot of communication, because I say this all the time to the guys. It's like it's not so much Marvel versus Capcom. It's like MCU versus Capcom.
Yeah, that's
because in Infinite you lost a lot of Marvel characters that like people really liked. Like you have characters that people don't think about that often, like Shuma Gorath or Doctor Doom, Wolverine. We don't gotta go over those again. Yeah. But there are characters that like Shuma Gorath, and for some reason I'm blanking on a couple of others, but that you don't think about them often, but you associate them with Marvel vs. Capcom. Mm-hmm. Like you notice when they're not there. Yeah. Kind of like how Jigglypuff is in Super Smash Bros. It's like if all of a sudden Jigglypuff wasn't in Super Smash Bros, you would notice that it's like, hey, is Jigglypuff missing? I think Jigglypuff is missing.
Character's been there for a while.
Yeah, that it's like, why aren't they there? Mm-hmm. And I feel like that's what we're missing with all this miscommunications. With they're focusing so much on the movies and making sure everything represents the movies to bring all the attention to the movie, that everything else is kind of taking a hit for it.
Yeah, and you gotta understand, a lot of those people that see the movies don't play games, so like you can't like guarantee that they're gonna go out of the way to get a game or stuff. Like you already have an established fan base in your gaming community. It's always like, let's get new people. How many new people are there?
Yeah, how many new fans do you think you're going to get with your fighting game? Fighting games are already a niche market anyway.
Yeah, it's one time purchase, and it's delved into more microtransactions later on. But a lot of those people don't get it after that point. Yeah, they just get to the next thing.
They just move on. And when you have the Ultimate Alliance 3 coming out, you have a couple of the Marvel mobile games and stuff too. I feel like the crowd they're looking for, all those like new fans, are going to be playing those as opposed to like Marvel vs. Capcom. So I feel like they should give Capcom a little bit more reign to use some other characters.
Yeah, allow them to actually use Marvel characters. It's a big universe if you did not know that.
They have a lot of potential, but they still have to hit the big marks, and they're missing a lot of big marks. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what people are noticing, those big things, and that's why it kind of feels a little bit hollow. And that comes to the point where you mentioned before how WB owns NetherRealm, so they have like a infinite well of DC that they could pull from that Capcom just can't do right now until Marvel loosens their grip.
Yeah, pretty much. Because Marvel has to listen to Disney. It's like a 3-way chain that they have to go through.
Yeah, it's a lot of filters. And by the time it gets to Capcom, it's kind of watered down.
Yeah, at that point.
And now, bringing that up, do you think that they could be flipped? Like, you think they could throw the Marvel characters into NetherRealm's corner and the DC characters into Capcom's corner and still make it work
I think you can.
in a successful way?
I mean, with the way DC has been doing a lot of their even comic books, like, you can go dark. Like, there's avenues. Like, I know now, like, it's a 50-50 split, but the Suicide Squad, they're killers.
Yeah.
They're killers forced to be heroes, okay? And it works. It works. And you have a lot of these NetherRealm characters that are killers, but they're heroes. Like, you know, the whole Comic Kids.
Yeah, this is Special Forces.
Yeah, Special Forces. They're killers. They're in their early 20s. Even their parents, they're killers.
They're creative killers too. They don't just like shoot people.
Yeah, well, obviously they don't go out of their way to kill like a crook in the city. It's always these bigger bombastic events. But you have groups in NetherRealms that deal with smaller groups. Like you have characters like Strider. He's a cop.
Yeah,
he's a cop.
He's a regular ass
legit,
cop.
Like write him as a character that cleans up the streets. That's sick and tired of like, you know, just bad people and stuff like that. Him running into other MK characters. I mean, like it's simple like that. You have characters like Cabal, Fast. Like the Flash. Yeah, he could be a darker version like that. Speeds around, maybe kill people too. But then you know, it works perfect because you have characters like Raiden, like a lot like Shazam. You have characters like Johnny Cage, who's in the depths of, and I don't know this is crossing genres, but like you know, martial arts like a Iron Fist type. But you have like characters that are martial arts heavy in DC that can work. Like you have all these supernatural powers. Why? Or magic.
Magic.
I mean, like it's
just magic,
like
you know.
Or people just born this way, or they're from a different dimension. Remember, DC multiverse, different dimensions, different realities. It works better, and it works really good. Like if I were to read the comic book, and I see Shang Tsung there, I'd be like, oh, he's probably going to fight Batman because he's immortal, like freaking Ra's al Ghul.
Yeah, you know they do have a lot of of similarities that I didn't think about.
So you have a lot of this, like just a lot of these weird things that just fits perfectly, and it's weird because you have this thing for kids and then this thing for adults, but they work together. And when you do that, your fan base is good because you have people of all ages, pretty much in that avenue. But then the realm for Marvel, I think I think a lot of the stuff for Capcom fits to where DC Marvel is, because it's really weird because when you go to the comic shop, you see your Marvel comics, your regular heroes, right?
Yeah, your Iron Man.
Yeah, your Iron Man, your Captain America, your Spider Man. Then you have these kid book section like your Squirrel Girls, your little Girl Wasp and stuff like that. But like you have that, and you have characters in Capcom that are kid friendly. Like really, the only one I always think about is the one for Mega Man, the little bot. What was his name?
Oh, the Sirbot. Sirbot.
Like a kid's comic book for Sirbot. He's adorable. Like it works in that avenue because Marvel is more treated more for kids in a way, because you have more kid friendly type characters than in DC. DC more works with their adult characters more often than their younger legacy characters. That's what Marvel does really good in that sense, and the worlds will fit really good because you can kind of have that disconnect from the adult world to the kids world. At least if you're going to sell it to an avenue of a different audience.
Yeah. Because the audience that NetherRealm Studios plays to is much different than the one that Capcom plays to.
It's pretty much people that are in that late high school to adulthood.
Oh yeah, we're trying to be angsty as hell over here.
Yeah, pretty much edgy as a crap, right? Do a fatality, freak out our parents because we're playing violent video games.
Yeah. Or in my case, your dad does the fatality in front of you and you know makes you violent for the rest of your life.
Yeah, pretty much like that. But then when you have the Marvel games, you'd be like, hey dad, hey mom, look what I'm doing. And it's just like pow, like no blood.
Right, no blood, but you got big effects on there, big beams going across. Mm-hmm. And you have like this nice this big personality announcer saying things like blast and Iron Man wins, or they shout out like the name of the movie you killed him with, like in the old Marvel vs. Capcom games, which I wish they would bring back because that was always the coolest thing.
Because it was like you feel like you're involved.
Yeah, because it was a unique name for each team you had, and I guess you know when the roster was smaller, it was more possible. But now there's no telling how many
what they're gonna
possible combinations.
Yeah. But yeah, like I said, it works good. I don't know what you think or believe, but I think it works.
I think there would be a bit of a problem if they like tried to switch them. Like if Marvel like was brought over to NetherRealm and vice versa.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like so many of the characters aren't like as violent as they could be, and just the nature of their abilities. Like you have Spider-Man. Spider-Man, like I won't say he's like non-violent because he jack fools up. Mm-hmm. But the way his moveset is, I don't think it would translate that well to like a more on the ground way like NetherRealms is. Like the Capcom games are very jumpy and stuff, and it's perfect for Spider-Man.
But I feel like NetherRealm successfully made a T game.
And they did. And
I think it could work in that avenue. Because I feel like, and here's the thing, I always want a NetherRealm to make a Marvel game.
Okay.
I want NetherRealm to make a Marvel game. But here's the thing. NetherRealm made a DC game, rated T. You don't have to put finishers. You don't have to put... You can put blood. You could put blood.
A little bit of blood.
You could put battle damage. Because I always like that in my hero. Like always battle damage.
Yeah, because I mean they're going to be taking some damage.
And I think like the way they constructed their video games, and because you love the fucking format for NetherRealm fighting games. Simple 2D, special meter on the bottom, health up top. Boom! You have a nice avenue to see both your characters. You have a good backdrop.
Yes, like a fighting game.
And I think they will do fucking perfect.
You think so?
I think they will knock it out of the fucking park. I think their format and how they make their fighting games, and I think they can do their... Because there was a statement that you said that was funny, that Centurion looks a lot like a DC character.
Yeah. I always like, everything she does is like so Injustice-like compared to like being like in Mortal Kombat.
And I think they would do perfect in the DC game. I mean, in the Marvel game. I think the way that they format their games and how realistic they look, I think is perfect. And that's just my opinion about that matter. And I think they would do fantastic. I will always crave that. And I'm sad that Marvel doesn't have a studio...
Yeah,
like that. They have Capcom, which I respect,
of course,
but they're flashy.
They're flashy, and they're flashy first, and they have great foundations for all their games.
But nothing realistic.
But it's not
like mocap face. You know what I mean?
They don't try to. They always kind of keep it a little. I don't want to call it goofy, but they're not going for realism, right? They go like when in Street Fighter 4 when you hit Ryu's Metsu Shoryuken, where he hit you in the stomach and then hit you in the chin, and you're like in your lower lip engulfs your face. It's the funniest looking thing ever. But it's and that's kind of how they are compared to how NetherRealm is. But there is I always had it's like a fantasy of mine where NetherRealm does a Mortal Kombat type game with Marvel's more violent characters. Yeah. Because the one thing Marvel is good at is like they're great at creating violent characters. Like everyone in DC is inherently violent. Like Batman is inherently violent. Yeah. He's a little delusional and like his no killing thing. He could just do. He won't kill you himself. He'll let your injuries do it for you. Yeah. But Marvel, they're great at creating violent adversaries for their less violent heroes. Like for every Spider-Man, you have a Venom and Carnage. For every, I guess Wolverine is just inherently violent, but for every Wolverine, you have a Sabretooth, who's a lot more violent than Wolverine is. Yeah.
And but just by a sponge.
Yeah, not by a whole lot.
Wolverine is violent.
He's very violent, yes. But I would love to see a NetherRealm game with like Marvel villains, perhaps, as opposed to the heroes. Like the heroes can, and some of the less violent villains can stick to their Marvel vs. Capcom, which is fine. It's perfect. Yeah. But there's some characters that wouldn't really go well into Marvel vs. Capcom because how violent they are. Because the Jamaican Shake is a big Carnage fan. Yeah. And I just don't think we'll ever see Carnage in a Marvel vs. game because he's just violent. Everything he does, he creates axes, he stabs people, he can elongate his body, he looks scary. Oh yeah. And there's nothing cartoony about him. And you have a lot of characters like that, like the Punisher, who is violence embodied pretty much. Yeah. His whole draw is like, you want a comic book that's violent? Yeah. Here's the Punisher. And there's a lot of characters like that. I feel like we could dive into if we had a more darker company that's not afraid to cross those boundaries.
Yeah, obviously. And it's just a shame that they don't delve into that because a lot of kids are playing these way more violent games like GTA and stuff.
More realistic violence. I think that's where some people get it mixed up. It's like there's realistic violence like GTA,
And there's cartoon
and there's
violence.
cartoon violence.
Yeah.
I think people can tell the difference, or you and I would have turned out way worse than what we did.
Yeah, from what the media always says.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay, we were going over various characters earlier, like in the Justice game and how you mained Doomsday.
Yeah.
Like all your, why you chose Doomsday. But that kind of like piqued my interest into like a kind of a bigger question. What as a whole determines who you choose to main? Because I not look through obviously, but just I think of like all the games that all the fighting games you and I play together, and you have it's kind of it's a strange variety.
Yeah.
Because you main Doomsday and Injustice, like we said, and but you also like in Street Fighter you use Sakura and Ibuki and Gouken. You use Rashid in Street Fighter V. You main Kodokan in MKX, but not the variation with power, the variation with the sword. Mm-hmm. And in MK11, you use Kodokan and Garrus, who you very, very much gravitated to. It's a wide range of characters. Where's your mind at when you see a character and be like, that's my main, that's my favorite in this game?
I want to be honest with you, and like there's a similarity to like a couple games. I like swords.
You're like, oh, you're a sword man.
Well, I love swords, but a lot of games get swords weird and different. My problem is a lot of games make swords way too fast. And I'm not into the whole super animated, like...
Got you.
Swords are heavy. Obviously, you can tell by Kodokan's sword, it's heavy.
Especially in MK11. He hits really... It's so satisfying.
I look for heavy-hitting characters. Like, that's me. That's always been me. Obviously, Street Fighter is a little bit different.
Right, they don't have, like, just big heavy hitters.
But they don't have that. And, like, it's... I mean, yes, I use Armika, who's a heavy...
Yeah, she can hit pretty hard.
Like, Grappler.
Grappler, yeah.
But besides that, there isn't any other character there that's my type. But when... And this is going to delve into a different fighting game, like Blaze Blue. The character I gravitate to was Hakuman. Because he looked cool, he had a sword, and it was a slow strike. Yeah. And I like a character where I can kind of command the field, where I want you to come at me. I want you to try to hit me, and I gotta move to come at you right away.
Okay.
Yeah, so like Hakuman, it's the supercharge. And I forget which game I played, he had a counter where it was in the air.
Oh yeah. I think it's just an air counter or something like that. So I'm not a Hakumen player, so I'm not sure.
If it's a full charge, it's 20 to 25% damage. That's like a quarter of your health, basically. I like to command the field. I like you to come at me so I can punish you. I love it.
So would you say you like characters that kind of cover a lot of space in front of them? Mm-hmm. Not so much a zoner. You're not trying to like command the entire like stretch of field, but you have a specific range you like to control, and that's your comfort zone.
Well, a lot of the characters I main aren't zoners. They
I don't think any of them are
terrible zoners. The thing I had like with Kodokan was, even in MKX, I was obviously slow, but I had a lot of moves that lead into my blade. There was a low and then a kick. I hit you low, I kick you, sword.
Yeah, and into the launching kick, right?
Then I had the elbow, and then it was an elbow, 2 elbow hits, and then my arm went like this. It went like a hammer, and then you juggled, and then
into the sword saw.
Yep. And then if you're trying to maybe zone me out, there was a really crappy move I had. It was really slow, but I just threw my sword at you.
Right, but it did a lot of damage though.
Yeah. But the thing I liked about Kodokan is if you're trying to zone at me, I can duck low, use my sun, and I heal myself.
Yeah.
So this is what happened a lot in MK11. It's way faster, and I have a little bit more better zoning moves. But the sun's a little bit faster, and you have to come at me. Right,
and then they're walking right into your space, where you just conditioned yourself to control that space, and you have tools to get them there.
Yeah, and the same, and what Doomsday is, look, buddy, you can be far away from me, and if I have at least 1 meter, I'm coming right to you.
Right, from space.
So either you want to come at me where I have, like I said, the what was it? The comedy move with the joking move.
Oh, it's just like an overhead smash. The overhead and the joke attack.
The joke attack, which is basically just a ground, like a high ground pound. I could do that, or I had a combo where it was square triangle X, which was just I would basically just like feel like I was just like rattling my hands. And it juggled you. Right,
that's 1, 2, 3 for all you professionals out there.
And then I juggle you, I do an uppercut, I do an air grab, enhance, boom, throw you to the ground. Then I had a good move where, alright, let's say you've been trying, you get me with an air projectile if I try to jump. I have a Venom Rush. I have a long rush where if I enhance it gives me super armor and it's full screen.
And hits twice if I remember correctly.
Yep. And I have that. I have a move that is XX, which is basically me scooping the ground and then punching. It was just like it was like a heavy uppercut, and then it was just a punch at the end that sent you full screen.
Right, full screen, and they would have to either fight to get, or they would either come back into your space, or you just come down and get in their faces again.
Like I said, I like a strong character. I like a character that I don't have to do a 20 hit combo for 30%.
Right.
Be super flashy and be like, hey, look what I can do. There's no disregard to anybody that does that. I admire you for doing that. That's just not how I am skilled at. I'm a good reader. I like to block a lot and I like to punish. I try my best to know every single character's base combo to whatever game I'm fighting, to at least know where I'm blocking high, low.
Yeah, very, very smart.
Yeah, and I like just command the space with a big bulky character where somebody would be like, all you do is the same 4-hit combo, or all you do is this special. Yet again, you can practice, you can block, and you can counter, but you choose not to. Yeah, I'm taking advantage of your frustration. And that's why I like these big bulky characters.
I dig that. Now that brings me to one of your more interesting picks, like bringing up how you like the big bulky characters and you like to make them come to you. Mm-hmm. In Injustice 2, you're a dark side main. And that was for me that was a very frustrating matchup. Being Scarecrow, and you used a lot of teleports. You had a jumping teleport, the standing teleport, and you had the forward, back, and was it an up laser as well?
Yeah,
and there's like you can like EX, lasers all over the place. But you had this combo where I forget how you would start it, but you would get me in the air, and then you would jump and stomp. That was kind of like a foot dive into like you would EX it, and it would bounce me up, and you do the back smack into like a whole other combo. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like that was your most technical character you've ever played? Was Darkseid?
Here's the thing about Darkseid. A lot of people hated him in Injustice 2.
I hated Darkseid.
Darkseid's one of my favorite DC villains. Basically, just the devil. Basically in DC. Basically, that's it. He's what I want. I want a bulky character, but a bulky character that can command with 4 hits that has really good projectiles. That was the thing.
Amazing projectiles.
That was the thing with him, and I try not to ever do that, and I try not to ever try to spam because I love Darkseid. I'm not trying to take the world of Darkseid.
You don't want to just turn him into that. Oh, here we go again.
Trust me, I will if you start spamming. Like I will not think twice. I thought, he was one of my more technical because honestly, if you look at his combos list, he didn't have normal string combos. A lot of his stuff involved the lasers, involved EXing moves.
Okay.
Because there was a couple moves that the ground pound, right? I do a ground pound, and I think there was a way I can try to do a command grab, which I would laser you in the air and then throw you. There was a lot of weird moves he has, but mainly a lot of the things which I appreciate involve the Omega lasers because honestly that fits a good Darkseid's character.
Right, that was kind of his thing.
That's his one thing that makes him because basically he's big blocky Superman.
Big blocky Superman.
Yeah, but the thing is his lasers can bend at will. Right. They can track.
Well, that's why he always boasted that they were like, they are undodgeable. Yeah. Just for like half the DC cast in the world to dodge them eventually.
Yeah, pretty much. But to non-important characters, you can't dodge them. But
yeah,
he was like one of my most technical characters where I actually had to trying to figure out ways to involve my projectiles, which I didn't want to go in that avenue, but he was one of my favorite DC villains, so I was like, I'm making an exception, and it worked out perfectly with me, with him.
And I always respected that that you didn't take the zoning route with Darkseid, because as anyone who's ever played Injustice 1 or 2, it had a serious zoning problem. The zoning was way unbalanced. You could cheese out half the cast.
Yeah.
More than half the cast if you decide to zone if you were Deadshot or Darkseid. And Justice 2, I can't quite think of any other ones. I'm sure there are. Superman, you can, but they didn't.
Nerfed him.
Yeah, they did not repeat the same mistake.
They really toned him down to a point where he was always in mid tier.
Yeah, he was, and he had his own. They changed his game, you know.
Yeah.
He wants to control kind of like the mid range space because he had a lot of long reaching moves.
Mm-hmm.
But I always respected that you would put pressure on when it was needed with the lasers. If someone was trying to keep their distance, you would be like, listen here. I can control the whole field if I wanted to. I'm choosing not to, so fight me.
It's always good to have a character that can teleport. That's all.
Yeah. Anyone that's got a teleport is, and his teleport was really impressive because it was a teleport that led into an attack, but it was an attack at will.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you did the air one, if you teleported in the air, you could come down with that stomp into like a whole EX into a combo, but you didn't have to. You could have just dropped and started like a mix-up or something like that. And that's always impressive as opposed to someone who teleports and always attacks like Scorpion or Supergirl. Oh, Jesus.
She was rough at launch.
Yeah, at launch, she was... Okay, I think she was a problem child at launch with Supergirl.
Because it was the same thing with Scorpion. You couldn't block right away.
Yeah, you had they had a sound cue in the very beginning, but at least in the early life of Injustice 2, it wasn't really enough. Until you really knew the matchup, you knew to, when you hear the whoosh, to duck. You're going to get nailed no matter what you do. You want to throw a projectile? Oh, she's like whatever, around the world punching you.
Pretty much.
And it was frustrating. And she had like the lasers. She could spam lasers too. She was the other one. She was the other
But yeah, her laser was tied into a trait. So
that was her trait. But honestly, and I was saying this from the jump, I was saying that they didn't take out enough meter per laser for it to even matter. Yeah. Unless you blew it all on like the big giant walking laser, then honestly it filled up way too fast for it to matter.
Yeah.
But Injustice 1 was famous. It still is. It's still famous for just, if you wanted to win it all,
Deathstroke.
You picked Deathstroke, or you picked Superman, or Green Lantern could do it too. Green Lantern was really impressive with his projectiles too, but it wasn't. The problem was it wasn't like a thinking man's like projectile dodging. You know what I mean, or projectile using, because in say Street Fighter 5, you have your zoners. I mean, Fang can be kind of a zoner, but you have to be smart with it. You can't just like throw stuff out because then you get jumped in, or there's like dodge under it if it's a high one. That wasn't how Injustice 1 was. It was, you could do anything you wanted and nobody could stop you because the recovery was usually too fast, and you had at least you had 2 projectiles on the screen sometimes. And that's why I respected that you didn't use the laser so oppressively, because you could have easily done it and won every single match you've ever had.
It's usually like 2 lasers and then I come to you.
Right.
That's usually what I try to do.
Because they're usually turtling by then. And then you can hit him, with his forward 3, which is the big overhead stomp he had.
Yeah. Boom.
Which is because he just brought his foot all the way. Anyway, that's like just a full circle. But as far as mains go, I want to touch back on Hakumen from Blaze Blue.
Okay.
Because we have a funny story with Hakumen that we tell like repeatedly. Every so often this gets brought up. Did you want to tell the story, man?
Yes, there was one of our first tournaments that we hosted at what was the store called again?
Otaku Generation Otaku, I think it was. I think so.
Yeah, it was an old store in Delaware City that the location shut down. They reopened somewhere else, but it was the first tournament as a group that we hosted, and there was an ex-member in our group who was very cocky, who was very showy off, thinks he's the best. Obviously he's really big into anime games. Obviously, as you know.
Yeah.
he joined, and it was more of like whatever joined for me. I played the game a few times, and I know a few moves, so I was like, whatever. So I joined the tournament. I won my first match because I beat some kid that obviously never played the game. Then comes Jamie. Then comes him.
AKA Hot Fries. We can call him Hot Fries. That was his name when he was still a member.
But he's obviously played the game a lot more than me. He knows his characters. And surprisingly, the character I use is one of his favorite characters. But he went to he chose a different character. First round, I won. Barely. Second round, he destroyed me. But that second round, he got really cocky.
That was always like a thing, like his theme. He'll just beat you, and then like that was it.
He got to a point where he was so cocky. He gets up, he does a wrestling pose, like, well, I'm the big man now, like, showing off that he won, like, whatever. It's really annoying, but I was in the focus because when he did that, I'm like, hell no. But I wouldn't really say I planned this match, this final round out. It was more so like, let's see if it happens. He has a full short strike, which is like, obviously you can do the forward version is the 25%, and then like I think the up version is like 20. It's a little
bit weaker.
So all you legit have to do is like quarter circle, like square circle, and then he does a full Chortakumen slice, and it's like one of the hardest hitting moves in the game. I did it, and he got hit 4 times. I did it 4 times. Match is over. Match is over in 15 to 20 seconds.
God damn.
I won in such a short amount of time that Bonsai Wolfburger turned around and said, "Is the match over already?" And just complete utter surprise. And I won. Obviously, I didn't jump up and scream like, "Whoa!"
Right. You have more humility than that.
I do. I shook his hand, and he was pissed.
I think he was pissed for the rest of the rest of the tournament too.
But side note, he went over and played Tekken, pissed off. What's Greg's name again?
Oh, he recently changed to a Protege Deluxe, but at the time it was the Champ Special.
Yeah, he pissed off the Champ Special doing a cheap move from Lars, but that's besides the point. I pissed him off to a point where he spammed in a different tournament. But I won that match. I didn't win the tournament, unfortunately, but I won in my heart.
Yeah, we had some pro Blaze Blue players show up, and so he mopped up the tournament.
But I was happy about that. I was like, yep, I got him out.
Now, as far as like tournaments and fights go, would you say that's like one of your most satisfying moments?
That is one of my most satisfying moments, but my most favorite moment was at that tournament still.
Okay,
it was against Bonsai Wolfburger in Naruto Storm 3.
Oh, I forgot we ran in Naruto Storm 3.
We were in the final match. I played as Kid Obito, and he played as Sage Naruto. And we legit went. I guess it was out of 5, right? It was out of 5. It was the last set, and I have this crazy setup move with Kid Obito where I do a combo, I do a cancel, and I do a grab. Grabs aren't really that strong. I usually did that move a lot because it's flashy looking. Because I just want to be flashy, whatever. Right. Besides the point, it got to a point where we're legit. Maybe like one jutsu away from legit death, both me and him, and we are legit like face to face, maybe like 4 feet away. Like whoever does a combo is dead, like legit, and legit. My hands are sweating. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck.
It was a big moment for you.
I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know what he's gonna do. I don't know if he's gonna do a tilt. If I'm gonna do a tilt, I don't have that much. I don't have that much chakra to do a fireball jutsu. So I did a grab. And it confused Keebs at the moment, or Bonsai Wolfburger, and I got him. I won. It was one of the most satisfying finishing for a tournament because I actually won that tournament. It wasn't the match, it was the entire tournament. I won, and I felt so great at that moment.
Now, was that the grand finals? You and Bonsai?
Yeah.
I remember it being intense. Unfortunately, I was running the brackets and stuff, so I didn't get a chance to watch every tournament. But
my hands were slippery. I mean, there is another tournament, and it involves Injustice. It was at Philadelphia Wizard World. And this is pre-batch. This is pretty early in the... I beat a spamming Deathstroke at the finals.
With Doomsday?
With Doomsday. Who says Doomsday is super cheap?
as he spams with Deathstroke.
As he spans with Deathstroke, obviously he wakes up with the sword all the
Right,
time.
of course, yeah.
To that point, I figured that out. I stopped it. I completely eliminated that force because after he does that, there's a room to punish him with.
Yeah. He's got a lot of recovery on. He didn't used to.
Yeah. But I took advantage of that. I beat him. I won the tournament, and I got the artist for the Injustice comic book to sign a poster where Superman punches a hole into Joker. The actual comic book artist was there. Whoever won the tournament got the signed poster.
Man, so that must have been a huge moment for you.
Oh, that was really cool. I loved it. But that Bonsai Wolfburger moment, I don't know. It felt more intimate, and it was really fun.
Right, with your brother, so.
But it was all serious at that moment.
Well, when you're during that Naruto tournament, and those moments where one it comes down to one read, it's really your brain's racing. Because you have to think, what's your opponent going to do, and what should you do, and what are they thinking you're going to do, and what are you thinking that they're thinking you're going to do, and eventually wires just get crossed, and you just say, "Fuck it, I'm a grab," and no one expects the "fuck it, I'm a grab,"
And I did that, and it worked. It worked, and sometimes in those moments, you just gotta trust just do whatever you're gonna do. Don't double. Don't overthink. Press a button. Just do something.
Just press the button.
Because that person across from you is as nervous as you.
Yeah.
That moment's But
everyone's wires are crossed, and everyone's minds are racing. Their hearts beating in their chest. Everyone's hands are sweaty, knees weak.
Yep. Dude, those were the worst moments, man, when your hands are too sweaty.
Yeah, man. But that's the exciting thing, though. When you come down from that, you're like, yo, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
It's those heart-thumping moments. You're like, that's what this is all about. Yeah. That's why we join these tournaments. It's nice to win, but you really want that competition, man.
First set of rules for me, never lose the first round.
Never lose the first round?
Match.
Well, if you live by that.
Yeah. I try not to lose the first match in any tournament. I at least need to win one match.
Right. So you at least say you played the tournament, I entered this tournament and I did okay.
Yeah.
Because you lose first round, you'd be like, okay, I didn't do so well.
I was like, what was the point of me here?
Yeah, really. It's I wasn't even in the tournament.
Yep,
I got knocked out first round. You like comics.
Yeah.
You're big, you're huge on comics now. Mm-hmm. Is that something that started with Injustice, or?
It actually started when I got my first job.
First job at Arby's?
And at that moment, I had a global income. I started to actually expand my love. Because, I watch TV, I've seen the movies. I wanted to actually read the source materials for a change, and it freaking expanded my mind.
It changed everything. Your whole identity in a good way.
Yeah.
It kind of changed. Now you have all this comic book memorabilia.
Yeah.
You're big on. I feel like that kind of influenced you into getting into fighting games as well. With Injustice, and you have your Marvel vs. Capcom.
Yeah.
I feel like
it expanded even more. Yeah, to that point.
It kind of branches out into a lot of things.
Yeah.
And where I'm getting at is more recently than that, you started reading a lot.
Yeah.
Doing a whole lot of just reading novels of all genres. It's actually really impressive. I'm not sure where you get the time to read so much, but I admire anyone that can carve out that kind of time.
There's some moments, there'll be some days where I didn't read a single page in a week, and I kind of have to finish a book once a month.
Okay.
At least a novel once a month, at the bare minimum. And there'll be a moment on a weekend where I'm like, I gotta cut up 200 pages. And I have a weekend where I don't have to go out with my girl, I don't have to hang out with nobody.
Right.
I'm just going to focus on reading. And that's usually where I catch up. But yeah, I try to make do with reading. And I love it.
And it's good. Reading is fundamental.
Yeah.
And for people like me, it is good that there's still readers out there.
Yeah.
Now, going back into fighting games, 'cause that's all I am. What series, out of all the books you've read, would you like to see get adapted into a fighting game in particular? There's a lot out there that could be made into adventure games or shooting games, but as far as fighting game goes, what series have you read that you think could translate pretty well?
For me, I went a little. It's a mixture of two genres, but I think it would work so good in a fighting game.
Okay, let's hear it.
Just 'cause it's Harry Potter.
Harry Potter?
I think, and it's I'm wanting to try to stay away from like the movie version because obviously, as I say, I read novels.
Yeah.
The book versions, it's so much different than the book.
That's what I hear.
The movie cut off so many characters, so many plot lines. There's so many contradictions in the movies that you see, and then you'd be like, "Wait, this character said this, but like in this movie, no, the books are." And then I'm gonna sound pretentious, I'm gonna sound obnoxious, but the books are always better. You get the true story, and yes, the movie versions can make the book. It can outlast the book even more, but for this instance, like no, like the books are way better, and I always like to see a visual media of the book I see, but half the time, yeah, they just Hollywood it up.
Yeah,
as you see
they
in
have
Game of
to.
Thrones,
Yeah, everything ends up Hollywood eventually once it hits the screen. You know.
I think a Harry Potter fighting game would be cool because it'll be like that's it. What's the samurai fighting game that you are excited for?
Samurai Showdown?
Yeah, aren't you a big fan of that?
I played a lot of it when I was young.
It's weapon based, obviously.
Yeah, it's weapon based.
So like you don't like the only other big mainstream weapon based game is Soul Calibur.
Yeah.
I think mainstream to the big cabal.
As far as mainstream goes.
But I think a 2D like wizard battle would be really cool because a lot of, like obviously if you've seen in some movies they do a wizard battle on top of a long table.
Yeah.
It's your fighting scene. That's your fighting setup for fighting.
I mean, it kind of spells it out for you right there.
And I think with a lot of the characters that were introduced in books and sometimes you see in the movie, there's a lot of different techniques. Like wizard dueling is vastly... Everybody has a different stance. Everyone has a reserve stance, a more confident, a more lax stance, a more vicious stance. You have so many characters that are vicious, that are counters. You can have counters. You can have healing characters. You can have... Obviously, your really spammy characters. You can have your strong magic characters, which are your bulky. You can have grappler characters, which do more like Leviosa grabs, stuff like that. And then, like you'll have really good stages, backdrops that would be good. Obviously, for me, you can if I had this set up in my head, you can have interactables almost like. Boom, like a light lamp. They throw it. But obviously, you can block.
Right.
Obviously, you can block.
Nothing unblockable. Mm-hmm. Nothing unblockable here. But unless they're grapplers, and then you can't block the grab.
But, like, you have really good backdrops. You have your villain characters. Obviously, you have Voldemort. You have Beatrice. You have a lot of other, like, that are part of the Dark Ones, the Dark Lords, like, cult. Like, you have a lot of, like, characters that you can delve into. Like obviously Harry Potter would be the more like standard like wizard character.
Yeah, he'll be your Ryu. He's got a basic blast, a basic anti-air. Yeah. It's got basic buttons. It's just a basic brawler.
Then your Hermione will be more I think more technical because she's actually a better wizard than Harry. She actually learns more.
So you think she would have more, say, maybe a larger move pool?
Yeah,
maybe
way more complex.
Yeah, just like longer strings. Yeah. Well, when you say adapt Harry Potter into a fighting game, what engine are you under?
I mean,
like what kind of world are we in another realm where everything's like kind of grounded and more space heavy?
What
are we in
the Injustice use?
Injustice is like Nether realm. They're kind of they have more space for like more like magical type of stuff.
Because I think whatever engine or whatever they use for their skeletons for that game, I think will work better.
Okay.
Just because obviously it's more flashy, you have more heavy, right. Like you have more projectile space.
So it's not going to be as nuts as like a Marvel vs. Capcom game.
It's not going to be intense.
Okay, so it's still a little bit darker. It's got a little bit of a cloud over it. Yeah. Well, it is Harry Potter. It's kind of a dark series.
Oh yeah, progressively every year.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I don't know. I'm just thinking like, just. This would be the Goku. You have your kid Harry, and then your adult Harry. But no, I think more like just middle ground would be better. Cause
right, everyone in like.
I don't want to flood. You don't want to flood the character list with the same character.
Yeah, you don't want young Harry Potter and then like adult Harry Potter.
Yeah, no, because like young Harry Potter sucks.
Right. He's a terrible wizard.
Doesn't know anything.
He just wanders into everything and gets called the Chosen One. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
But I think with your Albus Dumbledore, he'll be your Goku type character. It'll be like that old Argue rating character. It'll be like the one you look up to, like the one that you think will be OP, but it's not really OP.
Right, and gameplay wise, he's not really OP.
He'll be definitely your fucking cool, string, flashy type character because he knows everything.
Well, I would think someone like Dumbledore, like, yeah, he knows all that stuff. But I feel like he would kind of be like Goken. He would have, like, some counters. You know, he's mastered the counter spells.
Yeah.
And he would have, like, more perfected versions of everyone else's moves. Mm-hmm. That's just how I would picture it.
And Beatrice?
I don't know much about Beatrice.
But she's like Voldemort's like right hand man, female.
Okay, gotcha.
She's like the girl that always plays in Tim Burton's movie.
Oh,
His wife.
Helena Carter?
I feel like she would be like more like a Devore type character, just fucking vicious.
Oh, vicious.
Just doesn't give a shit.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't. Like she'll be your vicious strike characters, like just going.
And she'll probably end up being a fan favorite.
Yeah, I mean, move on, but like I would love to see that just because there's not many weapon based like you know. There's not even like magic-based fighting games.
And I would like to see them stretch their creativity to make... Because, I mean, each character uses like a wand. Mm-hmm. I would like to see them really stretch their minds to make every character unique.
Yeah.
Well, you know, they have their base wands.
Yeah.
So it would really come down to their personalities. And I feel like a lot of fighting games... Like, it's gotten better now that fighting games are getting more story-focused. Yeah. But back then, the character was their fighting style. Yeah. Like, if... They're a Muay Thai. They're like a serious Muay Thai practice. Yeah. Muay Thai is everything. Mm-hmm. I am Muay Thai. Yeah. But that's not how the Harry Potter can be. They can't be every character can't be I am wand. You know what I mean? So, however their personality is, that's their fighting style.
And the good thing is, Warner Bros. Owns the IP for
Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be damned.
Yeah, they own all distribution rights for video games, movies, TV shows, everything.
So it's not out of the realm of possible. There could be someone in the office going, you know what we should do?
Yeah.
Harry Potter. Like, wouldn't that be cool? But they're like, man, what are you talking about?
Like, it's not like my all-time favorite series, but it's a series where I'd be like, that would be really cool.
But as far as adapting into a fighting game, now while we're on this next generation PS5 Harry Potter fighting game developed by NetherRealm, who would you main and how would you want them to play? Dumbledore for sure.
Dumbledore. I just love the man. The man has a lot of swag.
Does he?
Like,
he's a
every time,
cat.
like, and it's more so like the movie version, just the way the actor acted. He was just confident. He never like broke. Like, especially when in the Order of Phoenix, when at the end he saves Harry from like getting fucking wrecked from Voldemort. He just comes out of nowhere, fucking saves, and it was just a cool ass visual dueling clash with fucking Voldemort and Dumbledore, and it was like a standstill. It was really cool seeing like your typical good versus evil, but like it's the master of evil versus the master of good,
and see how that plays out.
I don't know. I always just like him because he's just suave, like just smooth. I don't know. I like that persona he gives, and I feel like his fighting stance, his fighting style would be fucking cool.
He like exudes authority.
Mm-hmm.
I can respect that.
What about yourself?
Me?
What do you think?
Like I said, I'm not anti Harry Potter, but I never could get into Harry Potter, despite what my entire family thought. Yeah. I never got into Harry Potter, but like a lot of people, one of my favorite characters was Hagrid.
Oh, dude, he'll be a brute.
Yeah, and he doesn't use magic, but
like, he can.
He can if he wanted to.
Yeah.
But I don't think he would, like, in this theoretical fighting game. But I would call him maybe like a half grappler, half like big hitter, kind of like I'd say Abigail from Street Fighter V. Yeah. He's got like maybe one or two grapples that do some decent damage, but he just like hits hard. Maybe like some of his moves have like armor on them. But armor that you could see, not like Broly from like Fighters, where you have no idea where the armor is when it's going to kick in.
But he's a giant. So
he's a giant man. He would probably tower over most of the cast.
Mm-hmm. That'd be really cool looking. Yeah, he definitely will be in it.
He's always been. He's always been
like the Solomon Grundy, basically.
Yeah, I'll be dope since anyone who knows me knows that Solomon Grundy is like one of my like favorite like fighting game characters. I love like that's my favorite. That's my favorite archetype for anyone who was wondering. Is the chain grapplers. Yeah. Like even if like the chain on like Solomon Grundy whose chain grapples were powerful, even if they're not that powerful, if you got like a chain grappler like Anna or King does, but I'm not a King player. Like I just gravitate towards that. I just want to learn all those strings and just master it.
Yep. That says you love your grapplers, man.
Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. Harry Potter. Like I wasn't expecting. I don't know what I was expecting, to be honest. But it wasn't Harry Potter.
I was just trying to think of a series that was just fit.
that would fit perfectly.
I have a lot of series that are cool, but they gravitate more like RPG-ish.
Got
and
you.
I wanted, something that seems like it's doable.
More creative.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy. There's this game coming out made by I think it's Arxis. Yeah. That's kind of, I think it's called Grand Blue or something like that. Or something. I could be getting it completely wrong, but it's very fantasy based. It looks like it's a lot of knights and stuff. People using like swords, and I'm totally disinterested.
Oh really?
Because you know me, I'm not like I'm not big on fantasy, like super fantasy like that, like high fantasy or whatever you want to call it.
No, I get what you mean. Yeah.
So I'm just totally, and I like Arxis games. I love Guilty Gear, and I'm okay at Blaze Blue. I like Arakune and Hazuma. I like them as characters, and I'm okay with them.
The whole game, it's just structure-wise, it's just really unbalanced.
It's like, but this fantasy night game, I'm not with it because I don't like, and I think it comes down to like the world and the characters, and I think that's where this theoretical Harry Potter game would shine because the Harry Potter universe and the characters and the franchise is beloved.
Yeah.
I think people would buy this game regardless if it was kind of like the Power Rangers game, regardless if it was great or mediocre or whatever. They would at least buy it and try it out. I mean, in this theoretical world, it's like a AAA title that's at every tournament and it's getting high-ass reviews.
That'll be wild at Evo.
Yeah, it'll be intense. And those kind of games where it's like an adaptation into a fighting game, I'm so curious as who ends up top tier and who ends up bottom tier. Yeah. And like I always wonder why. And it's always funny because sometimes it happens. Like take Fighters, Yamcha's a pretty top tier character, but he's canonically one of the weakest characters in Fighters, and it has you wondering, it's like, who in Harry Potter is going to end up being top tier? Is Dumbledore going to be bottom tier for some reason?
Same thing like MK11 where Shao Kahn's bottom.
Yeah, it's bottom tier.
Kahn's bottom.
It's like these are canonically some of the strongest characters, but they're bottom tier, because then it comes down, and it have characters, I don't know who's the weakest, but you have like, I don't know, Ron, is he weak? Is he like a weak magician?
He's not good in magic.
He's not good at magic. Okay, so he's like
a really good wizard.
He's like top tier.
He's like Dan almost. He's like a Dan type character.
Oh, okay.
Goofy. It's like a bumbling type. He's treated like almost like a bumbling idiot.
Got you.
To an extent.
But
yeah, like him, like top tier.
Top tier, and it makes you wonder. It's like, what moves are you giving these characters that would make that makes them top tier? Is Harry himself? Is he like solid mid tier, like most like poster characters should be? Or is he high tier because he's got like a really fast projectile?
Yeah.
Is Hagrid like bottom tier because most grapplers are?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's those are always like the fun things to think about.
Before a video game comes out, you'd be like, who the fuck is gonna be number one?
But there's always one character that I know would be top tier because this is something that's kind of like goes through the entire video game fighting game world for some reason, and that'll be Voldemort being top tier, if not close to top tier.
Oh, you
because
think so?
For some reason the villains are always top tier.
Yeah. You
have your Akuma, who's always top tier. Quan Chi in MKX, top tier as hell. Kazuya, Devil Jin, Heihachi.
Oh, I thought Tekken.
Kazumi, all top tier, all top tier characters.
Always, they never change.
They never change. Yeah. That's why I would think. That's why I would think Voldemort would be top tier because for some reason they do that.
Garrus is top tier.
Garrus is top tier. He's a villain. He's like right hand man villain, and the only reason why he is technically the main playable villain since Chronicle's unplayable. You know. And he's top tier. Yeah. So it's kind of
a mainstay in these fighting games.
Yeah, the villain is always top tier, while the hero is usually mid tier.
Yeah, I always think M. Bison's always been bull crap.
Yeah, he's top tier. Yeah. At least in Street Fighter V. So it's kind of I think it would be a given that Voldemort ends up as top tier.
With his moves, it would probably be just a lot of these weird, stupid, crazy ass mix-ups.
Probably he would be. I think he would be. Because he's not like a heavy hitter.
No,
he's more like Quan Chi. He's very smart. He employs like dark magic. Yeah, or I'd say the darkest magic.
Green.
Yeah, so he's kind of like he kind of is Quan Chi.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, he's immortal.
He's an immortal gray bald man that commands green magic.
Yeah,
so
pretty much, right?
So it's kind of the same.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff that gets me excited whenever I think about adaptations from different medias. And I used to do that a lot when I was a kid. I'd watch a movie and I would think about like how these characters would play as in a fighting game. So I just thought I would ask you like some of the like question I'm always thinking.
No, that's cool. Yeah.
And so that's very interesting. Harry Potter, I think you're actually onto something there, and I think that's something that could be in the. I feel like if that was just an idea, like someone sparked in there, it could possibly grow into something. Maybe not like a fighting game, but maybe a AAA company would be like, you know what? Let's really put some effort into this Harry Potter game.
My only like concern would be like they'll try to kiddie it up. That's my only.
Yeah, well, you can't really like do like fatalities and shit.
Well, no, like even like just graphic wise.
Oh, make them like kind of chibi almost.
Yeah, and I'm just like, Harry Potter's like every year gets progressively violent and violence.
You know about the end, he's a grown ass man, right?
Yeah. Like it gets darker every book. But yeah.
But that's interesting. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
Like that was your choice because that really I was expecting like one of your like fantasies. I'm like, okay, we'll talk about you get the swords and you got your like daggers and you got your big brute axe man.
Even I
but no,
you wouldn't be into that.
It was Harry Potter.
No, yeah. I just thought it's something that just fits.
And it does. It really and there's a lot of possibility. I think that's what you have to look at when you adapt things.
Yeah.
Like the possibility for it.
Yeah, because not everything can be a fighting game. Will work. Well, not
everything will work as a fighting game. There's some things that just won't translate.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to add to that? Any like side notes or anything?
There's something quick. It's more of like what we add, like what we just asked me. Okay. What about you? What is something you would like? Like, that's funny. What book?
What book?
Yeah, fuck it.
Oh my goodness.
That's the same thing. Because I'm actually curious about what you have read and throughout your whole life that you would love to see into a fighting game.
Shoot. It's always it's always interesting because my main books that I've read throughout my entire life have always been horror books, horror anthologies. So if I were to put a fighting game together out of a book, it'll be like, oh, let's take some of these literary horror classics and let's put them into a fighting game. I'm not talking about just like your Frankensteins or your Draculas. I'm talking about. I'm reading Lovecraft right now. Mm-hmm. Let's take some of those gods. Let's turn them into fighting game characters. Let's figure this out. Let's look at their personalities. You have Nyarlathotep, who's very illusionary. He can be a trap-based character. You have your Cthulhu.
I'm really surprised I haven't done that.
I'm surprised I haven't either. Well, those kind of games are more like like adventure thriller type of things. Yeah. But as far as like a fighting game goes,
because they made a video game called Cthulhu, and it's like based off a board game or some shit.
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu. I think.
Well, like the Cthulhu like fan base is massive.
It's massive, and it's only getting bigger because he's getting everywhere in the he's getting everywhere in media now. And
he isn't even the freaking strongest.
He's not even close. I mean, there's one that can just wake up and wipe out all of existence because we're his dream. That's how powerful it is. We're his dream. He wakes up and everything's gone. But there's a lot of in his stories. It's not just like all outer gods and old gods and shoot. What are the other ones? I can't think of what the other one's called. Mm-hmm. But there's also like creatures. There's also like things that kind of follow them, and people that get morphed into like working form. These are all like potential characters. Their fighting styles aren't as like clear cut as say like Harry Potter, because they don't have like clear as personalities. Yeah. But there's a lot of horror characters in other books that are almost Lovecraftian, like Pennywise. He's almost like a Lovecraftian.
I was going to say that exactly. The fact that his name is like it's referred to it. Like it's like that's the rules to Lovecraftian. You don't really describe
because you can't because our minds can't comprehend it, which is tough putting it into a fighting game because you have to put that into physical form. And it kind of destroys the whole purpose. But these games aren't trying to scare you. No. It's a fighter.
Well, obviously, what Cthulhu's always been like interpreted as.
Right. We know what Cthulhu looks like. But as far as the other one goes, there's like a yellow god. I forget what Yog-Ziggurat or something. There's something like that. I never was good at the pronunciations.
They're weird.
They're really hard for me at least. But that's what I would do. Lovecraftian.
That's
pretty much. It's not as clear cut as like Harry Potter.
I mean, I can't think of any other fighting game or like type game where you play as demons or like demonic gods. Like there's not many like that. And there's just so much potential that the fighting games can just
Yeah.
grab to. Because isn't Lovecraft stories, aren't they public domain?
Yeah. He's public domain now.
So yeah, like anybody.
So I could like pop up like like a Mugen and put it in there and try to sell it, and I'll be good to go. You know what I mean?
You legally are allowed to do it as long as you're not copying someone else's work.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously. But you can write your own story. So yeah, like right there, like I said, like my thing is responsibility. So is yours. Yours is completely in the public domain spectrum. And
it all really comes down, and both like with Lovecraft and Harry Potter, it comes down to how far are the developers willing to stretch their creativity to bring these characters into life and flesh them out as full-blown fighting game characters that, like, because they have to be creative with it.
Yeah, because you don't want to make clones of multiple characters.
No, nobody likes that. No one's ever liked that. We just we accepted it because of limitations, but now there's no excuse for it.
Yeah, your engines, your consoles, your budgets are way more just better.
Yeah,
and you're able to do more things way easier than 20 years ago.
Okay, unless you have anything else to add, I think it's a good place to wrap up.
Yeah, I've had a very good time answering these questions and delving into more of a fighting game spectrum with you.
Right. Thank you, Carvin Chicken, for coming on here for the first ever Bottom of the Pit podcast.
Oh, I appreciate it.
As you know, I was a little bit nervous starting it because I've never done a podcast before.
Yeah.
Just everyone listening. Now you know. Yeah. I'm a complete and total trash noob.
Oh, don't worry. I was been holding my hands tightly throughout this whole thing. just now I would be able to move my hands. So
right.
Yeah, I was nervous as well too.
But thank you everyone for listening.
Yeah.
Once again, this was Carvin Chicken.
And this is the Whoopi Goldberg.
I'm McWhoopi Goldberg. We are the Food Chain.
Yep.
Expect more of us to show up on the show. I can't really tell you who will be on next week. Not next week. It won't be next week, but next episode. But look forward to it. It'll be here before you know it.
Learn to love this man's voice.
Please learn to love it.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the Bottom of the Pit podcast, where we look to the moon